When we talk about identity, usually, we think about our name. It's the first thing, right? Given to us, chosen by parents, maybe.
Often with hopes or family history tied into it.
Exactly. But what if we flip that entirely? Imagine a name not chosen for you, but
Hmm.
one that actually recognized you.
Mm.
Like instead of a static label, it's more like a mirror, a really deep one, showing you not just who you are now, but who you're uh, becoming.
That's a powerful idea. And that's precisely the philosophical core we're diving into today.
Yeah.
We're drawing from Ling Ting's personal reflections, specifically from Die Bedeutung meines Namens, tenderness.
Which translates roughly to the meaning of my name, a journey.
Right. And this work takes the whole idea of a name, of nomenclature,
Yeah.
and turns it into, well, a spiritual path, a
Oh.
daily practice embedded in identity itself.
So our mission today is to unpack that story and really dig into the symbolism in the three Chinese characters of his name, Longxu, Ling Ting. We want to see how these characters function together as like a continuous way to practice awareness, to grow, especially thinking about living between cultures, East and West.
And to really grasp the depth here, we have to start with the origin story. It's quite something.
It really is.
This wasn't just a casual naming ceremony. The name was given, spoken by a Tibetan Buddhist master,
Okay.
but only after 6 months. 6 months of total silence and really careful observation.
6 months. Wow.
Yeah. That fact alone tells you this name carries serious weight, intentionality. It's almost like a spiritual diagnosis and a prescription for growth, all in one.
Okay, that setup itself needs unpacking. 6 months of silence.
Let's really get into that reception process because it seems foundational to the whole practice. I mean, think about that commitment. 6 months for the person waiting and for the master just watching.
Right. And the source material is clear. The master wasn't asking for a life story or opinions.
No resume required.
Exactly. He just waited. Focused, it says, on the quiet between words, watching gestures, subtle movements. And this is the key part for me. He wasn't waiting to hear what the person would say, but to see how I would move through stillness.
That right there is the first big insight. It flips our usual ideas about assessing someone, doesn't it?
Completely. We usually think readiness means action, speaking up, showing effort.
But here, readiness was shown by the capacity to just be, to hold your center, your peace, when nothing external is defining you. The stillness itself was the test.
I have to admit, part of me pushes back on that a little.
Oh, how so?
Well, if the name is meant to be this active, lifelong practice, how can you be sure about someone's potential just from silence? Doesn't that take away the person's agency? The active part needed later.
That's a great question. And that tension, that balance between receiving passively and practicing actively, that's right at the heart of this text.
Okay.
The master's teaching tackles it directly. The idea is the name isn't chosen by your ego because the ego changes, right?
Yeah.
It's fleeting. The name has to recognize something deeper, an underlying pattern already present in the person. If you choose a name, you might just be picking based on today's mood or some limited idea you have of yourself.
So the name that recognizes you, it's like an acknowledgement of a potential that's already there, seen by someone, the master in this case, whose own view is clearer, less clouded by illusion.
Precisely. That's the philosophy of finding you mentioned. The sound, the vibration of the name has to connect with to find the person.
It shifts identity away from I declare who I am towards.
Towards a kind of passive reception, yes, an alignment with something authentic and inherent. And the waiting, the 6 months, that's crucial.
Why specifically 6 months? Or is that just symbolic?
Well, the text presents it as the time needed for the surface layers, the self-presentation, the ego's defenses to sort of erode, to quiet down enough for that deeper potential to become visible to the observer.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not just arbitrary waiting.
No. And equally important is the author's reaction after receiving the name. He says, I did not yet understand.
Right. He got the name, but the meaning wasn't immediate.
Exactly. It was too big, maybe too predictive. He says it was only over time the name began to live inside me.
And that's huge for anyone trying to adopt a new practice or understand a deep concept, isn't it?
Absolutely. It tells us the name is like a seed. It's planted, it's a mandate for life, but it needs ongoing cultivation. It's not like getting a diploma.
Yeah, not instant enlightenment.
If it was fully understood instantly, it would be static, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But because it takes potentially decades to truly embody, it stays alive and dynamic.
And the master really hammered this home. He said the name was not a title, but a mirror.
Such a critical distinction. Titles box you in, they categorize, static.
What a mirror.
A mirror reflects. It shows you where you are now, maybe your misalignments, and it shows the potential waiting to be realized. And crucially, as you change, the reflection changes, deepens.
So it's not "you are now Ling Ting." That would be a title.
Right. Instead, the master gives this ultimate definition, linking it directly to daily awareness. This name is not who you are. It is who you are becoming.
Each time you breathe with awareness.
There it is. That's a contract, the practice.
The name isn't a thing to have, it's a thing to do. Every time you hear it, think it, it's like a little bell reminding you, stay present. Identity is being created right now, fueled by where you put your attention.
Beautifully put. And that sets us up perfectly to look at the three actions, the three characters that make up this practice, starting with the foundation, Lóng, the dragon.
Okay, Lóng, the dragon. First things first, we probably need to shed the typical Western image, right?
Definitely. Forget smog hoarding gold. Forget the fire-breathing monster representing greed or evil. That's a completely different cultural archetype.
So what is the dragon in this context?
The source material is very specific. In the Buddhist tradition referenced here, the dragon is not a monster, but a protector of the Dharma.
Protector of the Dharma, the teachings, the truth.
Exactly. It's a fundamental reversal. Here, the dragon represents supreme spiritual power, but it's a power used for good, for selfless protection. It embodies awareness, strength, and crucially, compassion.
Okay, awareness, strength, compassion. And the source talks about the space the dragon occupies, symbolically, moving between sky and water, between consciousness and emotion.
Yes. And that's like a map for our inner world.
Yeah.
The sky is the intellect, the conscious mind, clarity, maybe detachment.
And the water.
That's the deep stuff. Emotions, the subconscious, the currents that can feel turbulent. The dragon moving between them means the practice is about integration, balance.
So being able to navigate like high-level thinking and deep feelings without getting stuck in one or overwhelmed by the other.
Precisely. Not being purely intellectual and cut off, nor drowning in emotion. It's about holding both.
That sounds, well, incredibly challenging. Integration is easy to talk about, but when stress hits or strong emotions come up, most of us default, right? We either shut down the feeling or get swept away.
We do. So how does the dragon guide us? Through its specific function, its core characteristic. It's described as representing those who see and protect without the need to possess.
Ah, without the need to possess. That feels key.
It is. The strength isn't just raw power, it's the strength that comes from non-attachment.
Let's dig into that.
Yeah.
Why is non-possession so vital for this kind of protection? It almost sounds contradictory. How can you protect something if you don't, in some sense, hold on to it?
It's the ultimate check against the ego. Think about it. If I protect something because it's mine, my reputation, my idea, my version of the truth,
then the protection is automatically biased,
Yeah.
self-serving.
Exactly. It's rooted in ego, and that kind of protection eventually corrupts or fails. The dragon teaches selfless vigilance. It protects the Dharma, the universal truth, the principle itself, not the protector's relationship to that truth.
Wow. Okay. So the practice of Lóng demands fierce strength, yes, but also a kind of disinterestedness in personal gain or recognition from using that strength.
Perfectly said. It's about protecting truth, protecting vulnerability, without ever claiming ownership over it, keeping the channel clear.
So for us in daily life, protecting the Dharma could mean guarding our own core values, our clarity, our compassion.
Yes, guarding them from the world's confusion, from our own reactive tendencies. And the dragon reminds us that any force needed for that protection must be guided solely by awareness and compassion, never just to win an argument or assert dominance.
That's about standing guard with open hands almost, letting truth flow through, not trapping it.
That's a beautiful image. It establishes the foundation, ethical strengths, integrated awareness.
But strength alone, even compassionate strength, can be misguided if you're lost in the fog, right?
True. If you have the dragon's power, how do you ensure you're protecting the right thing, seeing clearly? You need clarity.
Which brings us neatly to the second character, Ling. All right, moving on to Ling. This one introduces the idea of elevation, transcendence.
Yes, the visual metaphor is powerful. Means to rise, to glide above the mist.
So if the dragon is grounded, moving between earth and water, Ling is taking flight, seeking a higher perspective.
Exactly. The source calls it the gentle ascent beyond illusion, and the still lifting of the mind into clarity. Note the word gentle.
Gentle, not forceful. Why is that important?
Because it's not about fighting your thoughts. It's not an aggressive climb pushing mental fog away. It's more like a quiet, sustained shift in awareness. Realizing that your mind's natural state can be above the clouds.
That feels different from a lot of meditation advice, which can sometimes feel like wrestling with your own mind,
Yeah.
trying to face thoughts out.
If you're actively pushing thoughts away, you're still engaged with them, still bound to them. You're down in the mist, fighting the mist.
So how does Ling work differently?
It's about perspective, not suppression. The mist is all the mental chatter, the assumptions, the anxieties, the endless information. Ling is the realization that you can simply ascend.
Yeah.
Choose a higher vantage point.
You don't destroy the mist, you just rise above it. That's detachment.
That's detachment. And the Source links Ling directly to that core meditative insight. It's that moment when thoughts come and go and you no longer need to hold them.
The no longer need to hold them part. That's the freedom.
That's the aha moment. Especially today, we feel this pressure to engage with everything, every notification, every worry, every opinion.
We feel obligated to grab onto it all.
But the practice of Ling is recognizing that holding on to these fleeting mental things is optional. If you stop grasping, they just drift. They lose their hold on you. Your awareness stays clear, like gliding in the sun above the clouds.
And this clarity, this elevation, allows the dragon's protection long to actually be effective.
Precisely. If your awareness is elevated by Ling, you're protecting based on a clear view of the underlying principles, not just reacting to the immediate, confusing fog below.
You see the patterns in the mist, then how thoughts form, how they dissipate, how they often obscure what's real.
Exactly. You're not fighting the illusion anymore. You're just maintaining a position where illusion doesn't stick. It's a superior kind of clarity, allowing for wiser decisions.
Okay, so Long provides the compassionate strength, Ling provides the clear perspective, but maintaining that altitude, that clarity, it takes vigilance. It seems like you could easily drift back down into the mist.
You absolutely can. Complacency is always a risk.
So we need something to jolt us back,
Yeah.
to prevent just passively floating. We need energy. A wake-up call.
We do, and that necessary shock, that kinetic energy, is the final character. Ting.
All right, the final piece. Ting. Thunder. If we're thinking of this name as a dynamic system, Ting feels like the sudden energy, the jolt. The text calls it the sudden sound of insight.
Yes, or the instant of awakening that shakes you back into truth.
It's immediate. Thunder doesn't build slowly, it just happens. Cuts through everything.
Exactly. It bypasses intellectual processing. In many traditions, that kind of shock is seen as necessary to cut through layers of delusion, of habit.
But we need to be careful with the association here. The Source explicitly warns, thunder is not anger.
That's a crucial corrective. Because thunder feels intense, visceral, powerful. It'd be easy to interpret it as judgment or rage against mistakes.
So if it's not anger, what is it?
Philosophically, Ting represents the sound of remembrance.
Remembrance, not discovery.
Remembrance. The idea isn't that the truth is some new thing you've just found. The teaching implies the truth was always there. You always knew it deep down.
So it was just forgotten. Buried under the mist that Ling helps us rise above, or maybe not guarded well enough by Long.
Exactly. So the thunder isn't punishment for forgetting. It's more like a very loud, very necessary alarm clock.
Okay, I like that. An alarm clock, not a judgment. The intensity isn't about how bad the error was, but maybe how deeply asleep we were.
Precisely. Awakening is that visceral recall of your inherent nature, your core truth. The practice of Ting is about being open to, even embracing, that sudden, maybe jarring insight that cuts through the noise.
And shocks the dragon nature back into full alertness.
Yes, back into immediate vigilance. It connects the instantaneous power of thunder to the quiet, instantaneous potential we have for transformation.
Which leads to that incredibly potent line associated with Ting, remembrance that everything can change in a single breath.
That single breath, it's the meeting point of all three practices, isn't it?
How so?
Because recognizing that change can be immediate right now, in this breath means we don't have to wait for some perfect future moment. The power is present. The name itself is designed to be that constant internal thunderclap, shaking you back to presence whenever you start drifting.
Okay, let's weave these three together now. Long, Ling, Ting. Because they're not really separate steps in a line, are they? It sounds more like a cycle, a rhythm.
Exactly. Think of it as a continuous, maybe spiraling practice. You start with protection, Long, the dragon, building that foundation of ethical strength, awareness, compassion, committing to guard your inner truth without ego.
Then, that strong base needs elevation. Ling, rising. You cultivate perspective, clarity. You gently detach from the mental fog and confusion so the dragon's strength is used wisely, not blindly.
Right. But then inevitably, maybe complacency creeps in, or the mist thickens.
And that's when you need the awakening, King the Thunder.
Yes, that sudden jolt of insight, of remembrance, it snaps you back, reminds you of your commitment, your capacity for change in the next breath. And that renewed awareness restarts the cycle, demanding diligent protection long again. The name itself is the instruction manual for this constant rhythm.
And the ultimate goal, the function of mastering this internal rhythm, according to the source, is developing the ability to walk between worlds.
That's the practical payoff, you could say, the bridge from inner practice to outer life, connecting East and West, ancient wisdom and modern challenges.
How does this internal rhythm enable that?
When your identity, your sense of self, is grounded in this universal pattern, protect with compassion, rise with clarity, awaken with immediacy, you start to see connections where others see division. The author points to two specific outcomes.
Okay, what are they?
First, silence becomes language. Meaning that the deep inner stillness cultivated through Ling's clarity and Ting's jolts allows for a form of communication that goes beyond just words. You speak or act from that integrated core, Long, and it resonates differently, more truthfully.
I see. And the second outcome?
Difference becomes bridge.
Wow.
Yeah. When the self is grounded in truth, Long sees clearly from above the confusion. Lingen is constantly being renewed by insight. Ting, you can perceive the shared humanity, the common ground, even across vast cultural or ideological divides.
So the personal practice isn't just personal. It becomes a tool for connection, for understanding.
It's the ultimate argument for self-cultivation as a starting point for engaging fruitfully with the world's complexity. So what we've really explored today is how this name isn't some static label of achievement. It's a map for a journey, a contract accepted in silence, and it's a continuous, active call to work on oneself.
Right. And for you, the listener, the beauty is that the actions are right there in the characters. They offer these three pillars you can actually internalize and maybe apply in your own life day by day.
First, there's the dragon's call, to protect with compassion, meaning your strength, your vigilance, has to be selfless, free from wanting to possess or control.
Second, Ling's ascent, to rise without pride, to see clarity not through struggle, but by choosing perspective, gently rising above the mental noise.
And third, Ting's sound, to awaken with tenderness, to allow those sudden shocks of truth, those wake-up calls, to lead you back to remembrance gently, with immediacy, rather than reacting with self-criticism or fear.
It's such a powerful demonstration that identity doesn't have to be this fixed thing we carry around. It can be the most intentional, dynamic practice we undertake. It shows that really deep, lifelong meaning can be found or cultivated right in the heart of how we define ourselves, even in something as seemingly simple as a name or core purpose.
It really challenges us to look beyond the surface utility of our own names or the mission statements we might write for ourselves. The master didn't hand over a title, he offered a framework for constant becoming.
So maybe the thought to leave you with this week is this. If your name, or perhaps the words you use to define your own purpose, were designed to be a constant living reminder of who you are becoming, if it had to be a practice, what three core concepts would you choose? What would you commit to protect? What would you strive to elevate within yourself? And what would be the catalyst, the thunder, for your own ongoing awakening? How could you make your own identity a daily practice?